Ominous clouds pressed down on Jackson, Tennessee.
And the news was carrying threats and warnings of tornadoes.
At midnight, an F4 Twister racing 220 miles an hour ripped through homes, businesses, lives.
I got a phone call at 1:30 a.m. to say that our church had been damaged.
First United Methodist stood surrounded by disaster. By divine providence, or sheer luck, the church suffered only minor damage, blown out windows and a broken roof.
About $1 million. We had just finished a $9 million renovation.
But the worst destruction this church faced was not by act of God, but of man.
Without question, it was the youth minister. The youth minister, it caused far more damage. And we pray your healing mercies.
Months before, First United Methodist had suffered another disaster. This one played out in the media and the courtroom.
The folks who went through hell and back was the church.
Longtime church members watched as their former youth minister was convicted of sexually abusing 3 teenage boys who attended the church. He was sentenced to 11 years in prison.
This young man was well liked and very respected. So naturally, the church felt a tremendous sense of betrayal.
Give me a call. We need to put together a media response.
District Superintendent Ben Boone was chosen by the bishop to respond to questions from the media.
I've never had to deal with media in that way. It was overwhelming, and I had a great sense of panic.
The conference communication director was quickly brought on board.
Well, the first thing is you have a terrible sinking feeling because you think, how are we going to do this? This is worse than I ever dreamed that it could possibly be.
We're not shooting from the hip. We're really able to give them the facts that they need to have.
Once again, by divine providence or sheer luck, the Memphis Conference had just months before received crisis training from United Methodist Communications.
Because we had a plan in place and because we kept communication going, it made a difference.
By doing that, it gave us a sense that we were somewhat in control of really an uncontrollable situation.
Banner headlines greeted the day. It felt like the whole world was watching.
To deal with media requires honesty, telling the truth, and working to cooperate. Defensiveness just heightens a sense of there's something more in the story.
And the more honest you can be, the more open you can be, the better it is.
I felt, I think, even more pressure to respond, given what our Catholic brothers and sisters are struggling with.
Now to Boston, where a spreading scandal involving scores of Catholic priests abusing children is about to take a major turn.
The deepening story of sexual abuse by Roman Catholic priests has rocked that church and the faith of its members.
I think the biggest surprise was the scope of the abuse.
Michael Polson, religion reporter for the Boston Globe, was one of 8 Globe reporters assigned full-time to cover the story.
Well, I think most experts now agree that you cannot keep criminal conduct secret, that these incidents ultimately become public. So what churches gain from being open up front is some level of control over the story, getting it out quickly, appearing to be forthcoming, apologizing when things went wrong. All those things help reduce the impact of a crisis that in this case was not reduced. So what has Bishop Griswold said about all this?
Working the phone most of the day, it's Polson's job to get the facts, no matter how uncomfortable the questions might be.
And how would they get passed? Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that these are easy phone calls to take. I mean, they're very difficult. But I guess my basic advice would be, first of all, return the phone call. Second of all, don't lie. And then they need to be ready to talk about it because those newspapers are communicating to their members, members who, in the cases we're talking about, have placed their trust in these religious institutions, a kind of basic confidence that these institutions are going to behave according to the moral values that they espouse.
Back in Jackson, Tennessee, it's been a wake-up call.
I would say don't be so easily fooled. We were just sure, absolutely sure, when we read about things like this in the newspaper, it would not happen to us.
And once it's in the news, you have to be able to somehow control that story.
I'm just grateful we had a plan. If you don't have a plan, you don't have a boat, and you're swimming against the waves rather than riding the waves through. and I'd rather have a boat. I'm not that good a swimmer. I'd rather have a boat.
Thank you for calling the United Methodist Church. May I help you, please?
This is Mimi Bliss from the Daily News. I've got some terrible news. There's been a crash on the highway involving one of your church vans. 6 people are in the hospital.
Oh, that's terrible. They were on their way home from a mission project. What happened?
Well, and you said a mission project? Where was the mission project?
In Smithville.
Yeah, oh gosh, Smithville. They, apparently there may have been some speeding involved. It sounds like you know some of these folks. Can you tell me their names? I want to make sure I get it right in the newspaper.
Well, there's Mary Johnson. She's a teacher in town. And there's Jim Smith. He's a college student. And there's John Jones. John Jones was driving. They were joking before they left about how John drives too fast. John wasn't driving too fast, was he? Will they be okay? Thank you for calling the United Methodist Church. May I help you, please?
This is Mimi Bliss with the Daily News. I've got some terrible news. There was a crash on the highway involving one of your church vans, and 6 people are in the hospital with injuries.
I don't have any information.
Is there someone there who can talk to me? I'm writing a story for the newspaper.
Everyone is busy. I can put you through to my boss's voicemail.
Well, I really need to talk to someone now. I'm on
We
deadline.
have no comment. Thank you for calling the United Methodist Church. May I help you, please?
This is Mimi Bliss with the Daily News. I've got some terrible news. There's been a crash on the highway involving your church van. 6 people are in the hospital.
Our church communicator is the person you need to speak with.
Well, I'm really in a hurry. I don't want to, that'll just take a long time. We need to get this in the paper. I just need to know the names of the people on the van. The driver was John Jones.
Well, I really think our church communicator is the person you need to speak with. He can provide you with the most accurate and up-to-date information. If you give me your name and the name of your media organization, your phone number, and your deadline, I'll have him get back in touch with you just as soon as possible.
Well, I really need to talk to someone now. If you could just confirm the name. All right, it's Mimi Bliss, the Daily News, 333-1212. My deadline's 4. I've got to talk to someone. But could you just give me that name, the driver's name? You must know that.
Well, I really can't give you any information. Our church communicator is the person for you to speak with. I can contact him now. How can I reach you?
It's 333-1212.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, thank you for calling. I'll contact our communicator, and he'll do his best to get back in touch with you before the deadline.
Hi, I'm Mimi Bliss from Channel 10. We're doing a story on the demonstration here. Do you work for the church?
Yes, I do.
What do you think of all this?
I'm not really sure what to think.
Do you disagree with the demonstrators, or do you agree with them?
Well, really, I think they're a bunch of crazies. I mean, they're blowing all of this way, way out of proportion, but of course, that's just my opinion.
I'm Mimi Bliss with Channel 10. We're doing a story on the demonstration. Do you work for the church?
Yes,
What do you think of all this?
I don't have any comment.
Oh, I mean, we were just wondering, asking people their opinion.
You're just causing problems being here. Why don't you leave? I don't have any comment. I don't want to talk to you.
Mimi Bliss from Channel 10. Do you work for the church?
Yes, I do.
I was just wondering what you think of all this.
I think you need to talk to our conference communicator. She's inside, and I'd be happy to go get her for you.
Well, we didn't really want to talk to an official. We just wanted to talk to someone who was out here, worked for the church. You know, I was curious what you thought.
Well, the best person to talk with you is our conference communicator.
Well, I didn't really want an official.
Your name again was?
Mimi Bliss, we're with Channel 10.
Okay, Mimi, I'll be happy to go in and get her. She'll be right out. She's been getting ready to talk with the media.